Formula One is a lot of things, and complex is definitely one of them. And Formula One itself, the actual rules that govern the sport in terms of the technical regulations, are extremely complex. This isn't just out of Formula One wanting to be difficult, it's out of the fact that the engineers, the designers, they are all extremely clever people. And in the words of Adrian Newey, or to paraphrase him, I should probably say, you basically need to take a look at the regulations and see what you can exploit. That is what successful teams do. They look for loopholes. Formula One, of course, doesn't want to have loopholes, nor does the FIA. They want to close those up before they can ever be exploited. And in the aim of that, the regulation set that is coming up for 2026 is extraordinarily complicated, according to some reports from Germany's Automotor und Sport. Is this going to be to the detriment of Formula One itself, or is this very much a necessary evil in the sport? Let's have a look at the F1chronicle.com and find out, guys, as always. So the complex set of regulations that are due to come into place in 2026 are raising concerns that the sport is straying even further from its racing roots. Journalist Michael Schmidt was given access to the FIA's confidential energy management charts, which outline how power use will be individually restricted at every single circuit on the Formula One calendar next year. The new hybrid units will deliver more than 1,000 horsepower at their peak, but managing the balance between combustion and electrical power is becoming the true challenge. FIA single-seater director Nicholas Tombashis said the following, and I quote, "As the electric component of power increases relative to the combustion engine and batteries have limited charging and discharging capacities, energy management will become a major challenge." End quote. And in the aim of trying to avoid unnatural power drops, the FIA will enforce gradual energy cutoffs on straights, with different charging and discharging limits depending on the venue, and even between free practice, qualifying and the race. In Monaco, for example, the full electrical deployment will be capped to stop cars hitting 350 kilometers per hour in the tunnel. Of course, I brought you a story the other day going over how Toto Wolff believes that at some circuits, probably most notably the likes of Baku and Monza, the cars will potentially be going up to 400 kilometers an hour on the straight, which is over 240 miles an hour and faster than any Formula One record. Of course, the speed in the corners presumably will not be as high as what we have now in 2025, so I doubt we'll see lap records being broken, but maybe around somewhere like Monza we could perhaps see that. We'll have to wait and see how the tracks are on track, but it's definitely worth bearing in mind coming into this year. That's not something that was being talked about. In fact, it's the polar opposite of what was being talked about originally. Of course, remember, people were concerned that these cars were potentially going to be too slow. Now they're concerned they're going to be too quick. Formula One, eh? Gotta love it. On top of that, overtaking will no longer rely on DRS flaps, but on electronic override modes instead, triggering at designated points around each track, and limits will also vary per circuit. Tombashis also confirmed the new ADUO scheme, or a duo. Basically, it stands for additional development and upgrade opportunities, and that resembles balance of performance in sports car racing. Every few races, manufacturers falling behind will receive concessions such as extra dyno time or engine reconfiguration to help close the gap. He said the goal is to avoid another 2014 scenario where one engine supplier dominates, in that case Mercedes, but the rules remain dense. Teams will even get spending cap reliefs if excessive engine failures risk eating into their development budgets, and perhaps even catering as well, although Christian Horner's not in Formula One these days anymore. So it's going to be interesting. We're hearing a lot of noise about this now. I mean, there were talks about them abandoning these engines not being fit for purpose, and now, like I said, they've gone completely the other way. You know, Formula One is now concerned about these engines being too quick down the straights. Bizarre times, absolutely bizarre times. I don't know if the engineers have found something that they hadn't found before, some kind of loophole. I don't know, but this is not the noise that was coming out of Formula One before the summer break. It just wasn't. It was completely the opposite, if anything. So get your thoughts in the comments below, guys. May we live in interesting times, and these 2026 regulations are certainly interesting. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you want to see more like this, guys, and plenty more coverage coming your way over the Dutch Grand Prix weekend this weekend. See you soon. Have a good one.